All right, so I am with Andy from the band Manchester Orchestra. Really, really happy to talk to you today, man. I got to dig in to some of the stuff on the new record. Unfortunately, I didn't get to hear the whole thing yet, but obviously, Keel Timing and Bedhead are the ones that are up for people to consume now.
Yeah.
I like your band a lot. And what I like about your band is that, honestly, when you would first hear your band, you would be sure, and not just because of the name, I was sure your band was from the UK.
Right. Naturally.
which I grew up on all that stuff. I'm a big New Order fan, big Joy Division fan, Smiths, all that stuff. But where does a band get that kind of inspiration from, being from Atlanta? Is it because you grew up on that kind of stuff, or what was it?
I mean, truthfully, I think the reason I named the band that at the time was because I was really in that phase. I was really obsessed with that music. This, specifically the Smiths sort of misery said with a smile and a wink. And I liked that combination. And I think our band does a little bit of that, not probably as, tongue-in-cheek dramatic, but I've always been a fan of, seemingly happy sounding moments where lyrics can be, a bit devastating.
Right. And that, and I find that you guys fall right in line with a lot of great bands I like Doves, like Elbow,
Yeah.
So it's nice to have and bands a lot of the time that might be left out of the general conversation, but bands that are very, very important, and bands that when you're into them, you're into them.
Yeah, I mean, we've been really fortunate to have a fan base that's continued to grow and stick with us. And, all the other stuff, any of the awards or recognition or things like that, those are all if they ever happen, it's so not the reason that we're doing it. And so even having a song on the radio or a song doing well, it's that wasn't the intention. So anything like that happens, it's just like a cherry on top.
Right.
But I'm totally honored to be mentioned in that league of musicians who continue to make really interesting, thought-provoking records, and they, have the means to do it, and people are excited to hear what they do next. So yeah, it's all you can really ask for, I guess.
Yeah, and I think you guys definitely have earned your space in that realm, and it's nice to have a band like that from North America. So kudos, kudos for that. Tell me a bit about The Million Masks of God. Do the two songs that have been released now, do they give a general feel of what the rest of the record's like, or?
No, not really. The whole thing is really meant to be listened to as one piece from start to finish. It's sort of like the album is a song. And so Keel, Timing, and Bedhead were really cool songs because they're so similar. Everything about the backbone of those songs, including the drum beat, we're just playing on a different one where the band's sitting. So the whole record's sort of like that. It's really like a fused together circular experience where you'll hear stuff that earlier on in the record that comes back, and the whole thing's it's sort of eating itself the whole time. Bedhead was a hard record to pick singles for, but Bedhead was to us the most sort of immediate, you could take that out of the record and it would make sense on its own. And Keel a little bit too, but it's been tough.
So then that means I'm going to love this as a body of work, because I love records that do that. I know I'm mentioning a lot of other bands because I just get this sense that you and I could just riff on music. But when Snow Patrol, when they put out Final Straw, they had a couple of songs on that record that did that. They just kind of went into one another, and I got that same feeling when I listened to Bedhead and Keel Timing, that they just, at one point I'm looking, I'm like, is this the same song? But then and you're like, no, it's not. So then the idea of bringing people on a journey.
And the whole album's like that, and it was the first time we really intentionally set out to do that from the beginning, which was a really cool experiment and experience, because we just allowed the songs to organically fuse together as we were making them, and made some intentional decisions of where maybe a traditional song wouldn't do the thing that we're doing, but it's okay because it's a part of this puzzle.
Yeah. You have obviously, with releasing a record in the where the world is today. I mean, we all kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, but there's still a little bit of uncertainty. How do you navigate planning a tour right now when you're looking at Yeah, I can just tell by your facial reaction.
Well, I mean, I think everybody's wondering the same thing, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Expect the best, and you try and be prepared and not caught off guard. And we've had so many tours that we've had holds for and canceled over the last year and a half that even if it does get pushed again, I'm not going to be devastated because it's sort of the normal that we feel.
Right.
But as a musician, that an album's life cycle and a song's life cycle really isn't like it doesn't start phase 2 until you present that to an audience and it becomes theirs. So I feel really bad for folks who released records, really early on last year, who've just been sitting in this sort of incubation period waiting for these songs to take on their next life. So I hope we don't get to wait too long, but I also feel like everybody's in it, so we're doing our best.
Yeah, and I think it's a general thing that the world knows that some stuff might have to be be put under the magnifying glass a little later on, and
absolutely.
And there's also this general, there's this feeling that musicians have, and I'm sure you'll agree, where you have something and for you it's like it's got to be now, but the world will be okay if it gets it in 6 months.
We say that all the time, and we even say that when there wasn't a pandemic. Just this idea of like taking your time on a record and really making sure that you're pleased with what you're doing, truly. And it's like the world is not going to start or stop if Manchester Orchestra releases a record in 6 months or in a year. Let's make sure the record is the thing that we want to come out when it does. You know?
I know you've had a lot of general experience with soundtracks and stuff, and I'm a big A24 fan. Some of the best movies that have come out in the last 5 years have been from that studio. So
I agree.
Working with Swiss Army Man on that soundtrack, is there plans for you to continue to work with A24? Were there any kind of alliances that were formed when you worked with them?
They're awesome. And we did another movie with them called The Death of Dick Long. They're just awesome people. So, it just depends on if the movie that we're working on happens to coincide with A24. But we definitely made some great friends over there. And just the release of all the stuff we were able to do around Swiss Army Man, they were so creative. It was really great working with a film company that was looking at a release the way like a really cool record label would, like sending, Swiss Army Man branded bongs to the people with the Blu-ray. It's like I love shit like that.
Yeah, there's something to be said about creative marketing, and there was a lot of really interesting stuff around Swiss Army Man, definitely.
No kidding, man.
And the soundtrack itself too was super original.
Thank you very much.
I love hearing you in that realm. I think it's really cool because it's different.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very stretching. It sort of takes another muscle in the brain that we didn't know that we really had before we made it. And thank God we did, because it really unlocked for Robert and I this whole sort of collection of ideas, and just the way we were looking at music in general, it really kind of flipped it on its head. So we love that. And
you see, like Trent and Atticus Rose, like having a lot of success with that too. So it's nice to see people go into that space, have success with it. And then, as a music fan, or if you're a fan, say of Manchester, they're like, oh, I can follow Andy and I can do, watch him do this stuff too, or listen to all this stuff. So
that's the dream. I mean, I think Trent's got it down pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, especially how the success he had yesterday at the Oscars and stuff. Yeah. But I'm really excited to hear this entire record. I can't wait I've never seen you guys live, so to me, it's something that I hope happens soon. Are there plans to come to Canada?
Yeah, we hope so. Just depending on what the borders look like and what all of that looks like. I think we're probably a little bit further from coming to Canada than doing the States, but hopefully that's not the case, and we can throw them all in there together.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching UFC on Saturday night, and like 15,000 people in Jacksonville, and I was like, and and here I am in Quebec, and we're under lockdown, curfew till 8:30. I'm like, it's like we're living in two different worlds. So it's going to be interesting to see everybody kind of catch up to each other.
It will. I have faith, though. I think it's looking better than it was a year ago. So that's all we can hope for.
Just lastly, quick, can you tell me a bit about the title, The Million Masks of God?
Yeah, I found it in a book of old poems and sort of prayers. It was written in the early 1900s, if not the late 1800s. I can't remember. It's a poem called Gold Leaves, and it's this idea of in your youth you're trying to find God and you're angry that you can't find him anywhere, but as you mature and get older you sort of recognize that perhaps God's like been everywhere the whole time. And that resonated with me a lot. And when I told, my partner in the band, Robert, about the title, he really took it as a different way of things that, block us from what, God is, and that are masking it. And once we kind of realized there was a duality there, I think album titles that can come up with your own interpretation are important, especially with kind of a record that's exploring a lot of heady stuff. So yeah, it felt like it was the right call.
Well, I'm really, really excited to hear it. And I wish you nothing but continued success. And thanks for taking the time to chat today, man.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Have a great day.